Alrighty, a little bit about Concerto Grosso and Concerto Grosso form. I'm going to start this with the Vivaldi Four Seasons Spring, La Primavera, the first movement of it. And let's watch it through, and then we'll go back and I'll show you the form and some other things. Okay, now this Concerto Grosso may be somewhat familiar to you. It is one of the popular Concerto Grossos that gets played in a lot of different settings. The typical format of a Concerto Grosso is to have a single instrument or a group of instruments kind of battling it out with the whole orchestra. Now, I do want to point out some things here. If you'll look in the back, you can't quite see the player. He's stuck behind somebody. But this instrument back here is a keyboard instrument. It looks like it's a piano, but it's actually a harpsichord. And the harpsichord plucks the strings, and so it has kind of a zzz, tinny, buzzy sound. And it, with a bass instrument, form what is called the basso continuo. And that is a chordal instrument with a bass instrument. The bass instrument plays the bass line, and then the chordal instrument chords along to fill out the texture. Let's see if we can hear some of that. Okay, there's the harpsichord there. All right. So the bass line there went dum dum da dum 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 dum. We'll see if we can hear that part again. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so now we get our first kind of small group of instruments to act as contrast. Here we have a couple of violinists playing. All right, and everybody's back in. Now it's the full group. We just had the contrast of a couple by themselves. And now we have a little bit of a contrasting section. Back to this full section where everybody's basically playing the melody, except for the basso continuo. And here we have, again, a group of instruments against the entire. Solo. Solo. Full group of instruments again. And then another small set of instruments. Group of instruments for the soloist mostly, with the basso continuo. And a full group of instruments to finish it off. Let's look at some stuff in your readings, which will be public in just a moment. Concerto Grosso reading and videos. First we have Concerto Grosso, and then we have Basso Continuo. Let me look at those real quick. Concerto Grosso, or Big Concert, is a form of Baroque music in which the musical material is passed between a small group of soloists, the concertino, and the full orchestra, the Ripieno or tutti. It has a typical form, and you probably won't see it on this, but the typical form is called Ripieno form. And let's look up Ripieno form. Ripieno Concerto. That's not really what I'm going for. But the basic idea is you're going to alternate between the large group of instruments and a smaller set of instruments. And we call a large set of instruments the tutti, and then the rest of them are the solo or concertino sections. So let's go back, and I just want to identify the tutti sections. Now, when you're discussing form, you're often going to be talking about melodic material. So there are times when the full orchestra is playing, but they're not playing the same melody that we've accustomed for them to be playing. So we're not going to be labeling those as the tutti section. They will just be additional episodes in between the tuttis and the concertino. So here we go. All right, so this is a tutti section, and that melody, da 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 dee, da 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 dee, da 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 da, that's going to be our tutti melody. We'll hear it again repeated. And this is like an answering to the original melody. The original melody was da 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 da. And this answer melody is da 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 da. So anytime we hear either one of those two melodies, we're going to call it a tutti section. That second tutti section is repeated. This is a concertino set. We've got the melody, main melody in this violin, and some counter melodies over here in the other violins. And here is a tutti section, beginning at about 106. Another concertino section. It doesn't have that tutti melody, even though everybody's playing. This is not a tutti section. This is a tutti section. There's a melody, famous melody, and it's back. Another concertino section. Some virtuoso work. Virtuoso meaning it's incredibly difficult to play and it's impressive to watch. Another tutti section. And another concertino section. A little bit of imitation there. And though everyone's playing, it's very close to the tutti melody, but it's not quite the tutti melody. The tutti section again. Now, one more interesting thing about this Vivaldi concerto is that it is loosely programmatic. Actually, not even loosely programmatic. It's programmatic. He's depicting spring. So some of the different sections sound like things that happen in springtime. It's sort of musical poetry in a sense. So here's our opening tutti again. Zoom forward a bit. Okay. So this section coming up is sort of describing the birds awakening in spring and beginning to sing. So it sounds like bird calls. Okay, pretty birds, pretty birds. Which is answered with a tutti section. All right. The next little episode describes a thunderstorm. The big tremolos in the strings. Oh, actually, sorry. This is funny enough, it's a river section or a stream section. This is supposed to sound like flowing water. Let's hear that again. The thunderstorm is next. It's a little babbling brook, a little bit of water motion, the tricklings of a stream, the creek. Which is followed by another tutti section. Let's do that. Here comes the thunderstorm. These big tremolos are supposed to be like the wind. And those fast rockets supposed to be like lightning. So this is the thunderstorm. Okay, one more section I want to point out, because it's a good example of soloist with a basso continuo playing at the same time. And it's just the soloist and the basso continuo. Let's get to that section. So here's the soloist. And now you hear in the background that plunk, 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 plunk. That is the harpsichord. And then the bass line's being doubled by this cello and maybe even the string bass back there. I don't know. Okay, so there the bass line was dum, 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 da, dum, dum, dum. And for every one of those bass notes that you hear in the cello, you also hear the harpsichord playing at the same time, the same bass line, but also with chords. Let's back it up and hear that again. Excellent example of soloist against the concerto grosso, against the basso continuo. All right. So that is Vivaldi's Spring Concerto, La Primavera, the first movement. It features alternation of a concertino set. Sometimes it's a solo violin, sometimes it's just a handful of the violins, against a tutti, the Ripieno form with the tutti melody that comes back from time to time in different keys. Not that you'll be able to pick out exactly which keys they are, but that's part of the rhetoric that's going on. It starts in a certain key, and then each tutti is in a different key until finally at the end we get the tutti back in the original key. All right, hope you enjoyed it.